Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art, located in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is October 19th, 2018. And as always, we'll take a look back at last week's eBay and CATAWIKI auction results and take a look at what's coming up during the next week or so, okay? A couple of things, a little bit of business to explain first. A few things we've changed in case you haven't noticed. We've added to the home page, ending very soon. This is a link to a page that we're going to update, try to update it every morning. And these are things that we either missed in the newsletter or that were in the newsletter that are closing in the next couple of days that you might be interested in seeing. And the other thing we added was over on the forum page. We've had this for a while, but we haven't updated it necessarily every day, and we should have, but we get too busy. But I figured out a way that we could do it. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the forum page, you'll find this section. And we're going to try to update this every morning. So regardless of where you are, by the middle of the day, it'll be done. So you get home at night, you want to look around a little, go ahead. And this will have on it things that'll be in the next newsletter, some things, not all of them, and things that were may have been missed in the newsletter because they came in on after, or they just didn't get picked up when we ran the searches. And they're all on here, okay? And you can scroll down. There's a lot of stuff here. This is a big page. Lots of stuff, okay? And you can go through and see what you missed, place your bids, do what you need to do, okay? But you know the rule, always leave a bid. The other thing we did this week, we did the video update for the auction results in Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago. Sotheby's had some interesting stuff. It was sort of a mishmash of things. Some things did well. They had some big disappointments. That's just sort of the state of the market right now. But check it out. I think it's pretty interesting. And we also added to the site this week all of these catalogs in the top row that you can reach from the reference link at the top of the forum page or on the home page with the reference library button. And these are the sales coming up in London, London with Bonhams, Christie's, and Sotheby's. So check those out. Okay. Now on to this. This is last week's newsletter page, or page one of it anyway, and it was number 240, which is kind of amazing to me. But anyway, that's where it is. And we're going to skip over to here. And these are things we've decided this week. A couple of people have emailed me and said, why don't you show us the things that are coming up first and then show the auction results of things after? And I don't know what difference it'll make, but we thought we'd do it just for fun. All right, so these are items that haven't closed yet, things that are coming up that are closing in the next couple of days. One of them is this Kangxi Celadon Ground underglazed blue and underglazed red sleeve vase, or trumpet vase, or whatever you want to call them. And this is a fairly common, well-known color palette for Kangxi porcelains. You see them in incense burners particularly, sometimes in vases, baluster jars, and so forth. And this is a little vase. It's got a couple of fritz here, which is typical on these early pieces, on the corners especially. All right, there you can see it, normal fritting. You should always be a little concerned if you don't see any of that. And it's up to $817. It does have a hairline on the rim, as I recall. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape, and it's a nice early example. So you may check that out. And this is an incense burner that's coming up. The seller is a very new seller. She only has 8 feedbacks located in the UK. And she listed this as Chinese bronze incense burner. This is not Chinese, it's Japanese. And if you've seen a lot of those really fine silver enamel pieces that they did in the early Meiji period and late Edo period, this is very much in that shape. And you can tell by these flowers and so forth, it's very Japanese in taste, not so much Chinese. But at any rate, if you're a Japanese bronze collector or you collect incense burners, this is something to check out. It's up to only $83, and I think that's right now representing a chance for a pretty good buy. It ends on Sunday. All right, and then on to this, the covered hot food bowl. It has a Jiajing mark. I don't think it's Jiajing. I think it's a later 19th century, but very nicely done. Really nicely done piece. It's got the blackbirds all over it and all these figures and so forth. Here's a picture of the bottom, okay? They put the rain mark in upside down, unfortunately, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. And it's up to $738. And that's a nice piece. If you like fine Famille rose, that's a nice example right there. And then on to this. This is the scroll portrait of the woman with the child. She's got a basket in one hand. She's collecting flowers, and he's presenting her with one, and he's got his own little basket and so forth. It's sort of a charming scene. She's well painted. This is a late 19th century picture from what I can see. Stylistically, the face and the eyes and the pursed lips and all that. And it's only up to $10.50. Okay, this is an unreserved auction. This seller, HFX 1279, always does unreserved sales. This is a nice scroll. If you like paintings, you might take a look at that. Ends Sunday as well. And then on to this dragon robe. It closes on Monday, but it's very nice robe. Nice, deep, dark cobalt ground, gold metallic thread dragons. The silk all appears to be in good shape. The the gold metallic thread up around the collar, obviously it's had some wear, and there's a little bit of wear up here. Might be due to how it was stored at some point in its life. And but you can tell it's got some nice legitimate wear, sort of a sweatband running across the collar there. But this is a good old robe. All right, there it is. And those little areas can be fixed if you have somebody good with needle and thread. And it's up to $11.95, closes Monday, and I suspect it'll bring $3,500 to $4,500, somewhere in there, maybe a little more. Depends how excited people get. And then on to this. Goodbye. Grandchildren are leaving. And we have this, the Cafe au lait ground cobalt underglazed blue decorated vase. This is from a seller that we followed down in Florida. Nice guy. He's a pretty good picker, too. And he came up with this. This is not one of the late 19th century revival pieces. This is an 18th century example. Good brown dressing on the rim. Here's the picture of the bottom with the artisanal leaf. Here's a picture of the foot, nice white foot on it. Very attractive little vase. And it's only up to $13.50. I think it's only been up, I think he does 7-day auctions, so it just went up. But quite attractive vase, and we'll see how that does. It should do pretty well. You know, $600, $700, $800, I would think. Okay, possibly Kangxi period, he thinks. But it's absolutely an 18th century one, so you can go with that. And then on to this, the copper ground or liver red ground Kangxi Marken period bowl. This one has, it's in very good condition, has a tiny nick here from what I remember reading on the rim. But overall, it looks to be a good bowl, nice glossy glaze, not a lot of horrendous wear to the interior. There it is, okay. And we'll see how that does. It's up to $3,150, and it closes a week from today. Seller Digger Studio here in Massachusetts has it. He's out in Drake. Gets good things. Here's a good eye. And then on to this, the Kangxi Yixing ware foo dog and molded relief teapot. This is a very unusual type of teapot. You don't see a lot of Kangxi teapots like this in Yixing ware. It does have a hairline in the body, unfortunately, okay? But in perfect condition, figure it this way. They sell for $4,000 to $6,000 pretty regularly. This is a nice-looking one, all right? So you could stabilize the hairline from the inside with a little crazy glue, and there's a piece of the ribbon missing right here. See that? This would have arched up in front of or gone through his mouth and then come back down. But other than that, it's a nice old example. So if you're not in a position to spend $5,000 or $6,000 or $4,000 to $6,000 on a perfect one, and some of those aren't even perfect, to be honest with you. They've been restored. You might consider this. This is a nice early piece of Yixing. Okay, most Yixing is 20th century that you see today. That's an old one. And then on to this, the transitional style blue and white brush pot. It's not transitional. It's a 19th century, latter 19th century one, but very well decorated. And I like the horses. As everybody knows, I'm a fan of horses. And there it is. Okay, like the faces on them. And it's gotten a lot of interest. It's up to $993. It closes Sunday. But it's an unusual one, and it's a nice one. It appears to be in very good condition. It's got a nice old stand, too. I'm not sure if the stand comes with it. You have to check the listing for that. And then on to this, the pair of dragon bowls with everted rims. This is a nice pair. You don't see pairs of these very often. They're probably Kangxi or or at least 18th, mid 18th century. But I think they're probably Kangxi, judging from what I can see here by the foot rims on them. And nicely done, nice deep dark cobalt, very ferocious dragon. I like that. 4 claws. Okay, it's a 4-clawed dragon. There it is. Okay, and which some people say was for the prince, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of mythology about claws. And the pair is up to $601, and they close on Sunday. All right, so we'll see how they do. And then over here to this. This was something I just happened to see this morning. It's a nice old late Ming bronze of a seated sort of a ferocious figure. Here he is. I love the face on him. Okay, he's missing a couple of fingers, but the color of this bronze is really beautiful. Really warm, deep, rich brown, cocoa brown color, undisturbed, which is crucial on these. A lot of them got cleaned and were polished, and they look like brass bells sometimes. This is a nice one. There's a picture of the underside of it. There's a pin here, and a pin here. It looks like one of the pins fell out. So this may have fitted onto something, some kind of a stand. I can't quite figure it out, to be honest. But we'll see. And right now, look at this. It's got 2 days to go. It closes Sunday. It's up to $12. Okay, if you like old bronzes and you're not ready to go to New York and drop $5,000 or $10,000 at a Sotheby's sale, this is a good worthy bronze. This is a nice little bronze, and I love the color. The color is excellent on it. All right, and then on to some things that are over at CATAWIKI that are closing. This is a pretty rare teapot they've gotten. I don't know who this is that's selling this, but this is a Judgment of Paris pot. It's up to $869. Closes in a couple days, but a very desirable type of Chinese export ware. Okay, for the Western market, obviously. All right, Christian market. All right, so check that out. And if you haven't gotten a CATAWIKI account, you ought to, because they're getting better and better things, and the prices over there can be pretty favorable. You pay a little buyer's premium, but just calculate that into your bid before you place the bid. It's not tough. All right, and then you have this double handle covered urn. This is a good size urn too. This thing is how big is this? 35 centimeters, so it's about 13 and a half inches, 14 inches tall. Nice looking thing, good size, and it's only up to $104. It closes Sunday. All right, it closes Sunday. All right, so this should bring $600 to $800 pretty readily. So if you can get it for less than that, it's a heck of a buy. But it's a rare form anyway. If you like unusual forms, this is a pretty unusual form for one of these mid 19th century piece. All right, and then on to this, the Dragon Bowl. This is a late Ming dragon and phoenix bowl. Here's the dragon, and on the other side is the phoenix. And very popular motif. The dragon is done in very typical late Ming style. They're sort of, the Kangxi dragons tend to look very ferocious, and the late Ming dragons almost look comical. They have sort of goofy expressions on their faces. And the phoenix sort of looks like a cartoon bird with those great big eyes. I like those, okay? And these are fun. This is a nice one. You can see how it was outlined, and then they sort of swish, put in the blue, and on it goes. It's up to $1,363. I think the only condition issue is it has some minor rubbing to the glaze on the interior or something. Not much to worry about, and that's a nice bowl, okay? And this bowl it was fairly decent size. Yeah, it was 22 centimeters in diameter, so it's 6-7 inch bowl. Nice looking thing, okay? And then on to things that have closed. All right, this is a pair of very nice. This was one of the great buys of the week on CATAWIKI. That's why I said I'll go over there. These were a pair of 12-inch tall, late 19th century cloisonné pear-shaped vases. Very nice quality, very good quality pieces. The banding is the patina on it seems completely undisturbed. Nice colors, okay. Had a few little losses in here, but nifty little pair, and $538. Okay, you get that little. There's a couple of bumps on here that you get restored, but for a big pair like that, that was a pretty good price to buy at. Okay, and then on to this, the Famille Rose Mandarin vase. Again, not about the same age as that double-handled one that we just looked at, but not as big. As I recall, this was smaller. No, same. Okay, it was exactly the same size, 35 centimeters, but not as rare a type. Didn't have the lid, didn't have the double handles on it. This is a more typical model, as they say. And it went for $483. So that might serve as some guidance for you on what the other one is worth that has a lid and handles. Okay? And then over to this. This was another cloisonné piece they had up. This was also a good one. Very nice color. Good looking example. Again, the surface seems undisturbed on it. It was 25 centimeters tall and went for $638. And even that is not a bad price for that either, because it's a good one with good color. Very desirable. And on to this. This was the red ground, ruby red ground Yongzheng rooster dish with the scroll, the scroll background. It looks like a scroll rolled out and they're on it. This type of dish, this particular design is in pretty much every book that's ever been written on desirable Chinese export wares of the 18th century. Very well-known pattern. And it did well. It brought $1,333, but that's not an overpayment for that. Okay, that's what these are worth. These are very desirable. All right, and then on to this. This is cool. This is the big home altar with the carved figure of the woman. Beautifully done. I really like these big pieces. And this is a complete one. Sometimes you see these with just the chair, or you see them, without anything at all, just the figure. But this has the whole thing with the very elaborate phoenix, sidebars to the chair. Nicely done. Here's a picture of the back to the inside of it without the figure in it, and very well done. Lots of detail. This hasn't closed. This comes up. This comes up in a couple of days. I thought this was in the other section, in the not closed things yet. It's up to $198. We'll see what that brings. Okay, but this is something that did sell. Okay, sorry, a little confusion there. I get confused. Is this Yongzheng lotus rimmed, export plate with beautiful Famille rose ground, nice deep color, good clear yellows. And this was a good example right here. Here's the back of it, okay? That's what you want to see, in good condition. And it only went for $156. And this same seller had another one. So I hope you bought both and put them back together as a pair, make them more desirable. But they display well together too, okay? And then on to this. This was that Famille, late 19th, early 20th century. The seller is pretty conservative. This seller's always conservative on dating. He thinks it might be Republican. I don't think so. I think it looks older than that to me. But in any event, it's a nice one. And everybody seemed to like it. It went for $1,593. Nice old planter with good colors and well drawn. Well drawn. And the bird's face is very well done. Like that. And on to the next one, which is this one, which is that late Ming Shao character. You see the same pattern, this scribbly design out of the root in the center here under the pine trees. You see these on jars of the Zhaojing period. Here's a picture of the back of it. Pretty typical late Ming with the sort of ridiculous square seal. Could be a little bit, late 17th or mid 17th century or earlier, but nice pattern. He had two of these. This one brought $850. All right, and this was one of the bargains of the week, I think. This was a very nice big pair of vases. This style of vase often is usually sometimes only maybe 8 or 10 or 11 inches tall. These were big. I hope you all check this out. These are 45 centimeters rather in height, which makes them about 18 inches tall. Okay, big vases, nicely done, very almost Cantonese in style. And I just like them. I like the way they were done, even though they're later. There's the foot rims on them. Nothing to complain about. And they went very, very reasonably. $385 for the pair, with a couple of $100 in shipping, which is to be expected. If you bought one for $500 and the shipping was $100 from France, because shipping out of France is a little bit expensive, you'd think it was fine. This was a pair for $385. So for under $600 to me here in the States. I think is a heck of a good buy for those. Those are big vases, and they'd be handsome, on a shelf together. Nice colors. Okay, that was a good buy. They were nice. That was sort of the steal of the week. And then there was this good-looking pair of butterscotch amber beads, nice graduated strand. I like the big ones. And these look to be natural. Nice, some old dents and bumps and inclusions in them. $991. Okay, that's right in the range for these. Not bad at all. And then on to this. This is the Chinese export lacquered fan. We always cover fans on here. There's a lot of fan collectors in the world. This was a nice fan. Very well done. Classical scenes. Sorted figures across the top, and then precious objects and bats and all the good stuff. All right. And this was probably made, in the 1830s or so, 1825 to 1840, somewhere in that range. And it brought $1,136. All right, which is right about the right price for these. We've had these fairly often if you've watched these videos, and that's sort of in the range they bring. If you're a collector, good going. It was a nice one. And then on to this 18th century bucket, porcelain bucket with bamboo form, underglazed blue decoration. Jesus Christ. It's almost like I'm getting hay fever. The only thing that was missing, like I said, I mentioned last week, it was missing the lid. But other than that, it was a nice thing. Here's a picture of the bottom. And it went fairly reasonably, $1,436 for that. That's an unusual thing. They're fairly rare. So whoever got it, you got a good buy. All right. And then on to this. This was that really pretty 18th century Famille rose Mandarin teapot with lots of gilt. This particular type, this pattern, when you see them, often have heavily gilded spouts and handles, and also knobs. The knob has a little wear off of it, but it's to be expected because these teapots were used a lot. People use these teapots. Wealthy people use them all the time. Okay, and this had the strainer. A later strainer applied to the interior to hold the tea from pouring out. Okay, nice looking example, and it went for $756. Perfectly nice. Then on to this. I like this. I like Swato pewter. There was sort of Swato was the pewter capital of China, and here's a cut hing example from his workshop. And they made all kinds of the cut hing pieces. If you look around, you'll see them. They made boxes and all kinds of different things, serving sets, sweetmeat dishes and whatnot. But this was pretty neat. This was a clad box, small box. This is not a big box. The scale of it looks big, but it's not. This was only about 4 or 5 inches one way and maybe 6 the other. And but all nicely hand done, and it went really inexpensively. This was a great little buy. If you like small, interesting things from the later 19th and early 20th century, this was one of them. $34 plus shipping. How can you beat that? Okay, that's a great little object. And a lot of that stuff, these small oddball objects like that are right now, they're not heavily collected in the market because nobody's written any books about them really yet. And once people start to write books about things, the prices change pretty quickly, especially when things have names on them. They can be ascribed to a particular maker. That's rich territory for starting a whole new area of collecting. So if you see something like that, don't be afraid of buying it. Okay, and then on to this. This was our friend Tony over in France. His seller name is Scrap Dixon. He had this nice little Kangxi bowl with the 2 figures on it. Had a couple of little nicks and bumps on it, but it was a good bowl. Nice color, good quality, and had a Chenhua mark, as always they often do. Had this little old nick on the inside of the foot, but that was about it. And it did fine. It brought $2,850. Okay, that was a nice old bowl. Nothing to complain about. And then there was this Yongzheng horse and rider with the attendant with the parrot on the pole behind him following along. And I wondered how this would do because it had a fair amount of enamel loss to it. If you look right here, we've talked about it before, these overglazed blue enamels and sometimes the off-shaded ones here like that, they're prone to chipping. for some reason, the blue in particular. And it was overglazed blue was always a little bit difficult, the blue enamels. And this one, a lot of it's missing, but the plate still did pretty well. There it is. But it's a desirable pattern and very sort of interesting with that powerful looking steed in the picture. And it brought $810. Okay, not bad. Okay, and then on to this. This was a wonderful peacock plate, 18th century. It's a really nice plate. Unfortunately, it looks to me like the photographer used flash. And unless you're really good with the flash, like you can see it here on the piece, unless you're really good with a flash and you have your camera catching the white balance properly, you get this sort of milky sheen over it. And I think it hurt the price of this because I think whoever got this got a steal. This was a very desirable plate, circa 1860 or so. Nice looking dish, but the color got washed out with the flash. And it only went for $358. If you're using a flash, be careful with it. Unless you're really good at bouncing light, I would stick to tabletop lighting on things, okay? He had a number of things up, and they all had the same problem, which hurt him, I think. All right, but help the buyers, because the people that know what that plate looked like got a heck of a buy. All right, and then on to this, the late 18th, maybe, he says 18th century. It could have been early 19th. Hard to tell because things didn't change a heck of a lot, but it's this nice ghee-type incense burner. Here's a picture of the bottom of it. Good-looking thing. The color of the paste makes me think it might be early 19th century. That's the reason why. But structurally, they weren't much different than they were in the 18th. Here it is in his hand. Nice shape, though. I love that fat shape to it. And good crackle. And it did fine. It brought $940, and it was worth it, okay? These have always been collected in China. Chinese collectors love these. All right, and then on to this. This was Qing period had this up, that beautiful Yongzheng or just enamel blue plate. Some of the green looks a little outside of me, but and nice use of negative space, beautifully decorated, very pretty, very painterly, almost it looks like French painting, and beautifully done. And it did fine. It brought $1,576. Desirable painting. He said it was Kangxi. Okay, go with Kangxi. He knows his stuff, and he handled it, and I didn't, so we'll go with that. But Kangxi to Yongzheng period, somewhere in there. But beautiful quality, just great quality. All right. And then on to this wonderful soapstone screen, okay? This was a really nice little table screen. Loved the stand. It's easy to look at this, and this has that sort of mountain landscape that is so popular in Chinese art, especially from the Sung period on, and then the classical paintings always did them this way. And that's a natural inclusion in the stone that gives you that effect. But the stand this was on was great. Loved this root stand with the sort of swirly knots and so forth on it. And it did pretty well. It did fine. I'm not saying it didn't do well. It did fine. It brought $576. But that's a good, solid, interesting object, I think. I liked it. And then on to here are the little mythical beasts. These are very desirable. They made these in the 18th century and earlier. Even sometimes in the Ming, you'll see these, and the expressions on their faces are terrific. And they came in. You run across them in different sizes. I think there's a couple coming up in London, as a matter of fact. And they're anywhere from 3 or 4 inches up to maybe 10 or 12 inches. Okay, and the same form, sometimes they used cats, and they were hollow inside, and they were actually used as lanterns. So you could put an oil lamp inside them. Kind of Halloweenish looking. But anyway, these were cool. These were nice. And the pictures of them were quite good. Good shots of the bottom, so forth. And everybody seemed to like them just fine. They brought $1,611. Not bad. Okay. And then we're getting on to the end here. There was this late Ming bodhisattva seated on the recumbent elephant on a lotus base, well-known type. It was in pretty good condition. It had some losses and wear to it and so forth. There, okay, and there. All right, you can see the gilding is missing off of it. All right, and it did fine nonetheless. It brought $3,330. If the gilding had been perfect, this would have been a $15,000 or $20,000 bronze. But unfortunately, people clean them. They clean them with ammonia, and that pretty much does it. All right. And then there was this jar. We've seen this jar before. I think it's sold. I think the seller sold it a year or so ago. And maybe it didn't get paid for, which does happen, as we all know. But nice looking jar, nice Kangxi jar. And this time around, it brought $7,322. And that's it. That's it for the week. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't joined us over at eBay, over at Bidamount rather, I'll put the link in the bottom here, and you can click and come over, sign up for the newsletter, check out the forum, visit, take a look at the catalogs, and participate with the little community we have. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great weekend. I'm sorry this ran long, but there was a lot on here. Okay. See you all next week. Bye-bye.